All right, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Not going to waste a lot of time here with an introduction. All I'm going to say is this football game on Thursday Night Football, Thursday, the day of Jupiter Zeus, the lightning god, the thunder god. This football game is a clear prediction of a future EMP attack. Can I give you all of the details, exactly where, when, and how? Probably not. But and for those of you, I'm sorry that maybe my channel is annoying because I try to make predictions. It's not really about the predictions and trying to get an exact day right because I know it's not easy to do. In fact, I had a comment yesterday in my channel saying that I had been trying to guess the Queen's death date for 2 years when I started my channel less than a year ago. Actually, I started my channel on February 2nd or 6th, sorry. That's not even close to 2 years. And I did say that in May, when I was predicting that she might die in May, when Zach Hubbard and everyone else was saying that September also looked. And I'd also told people that when I saw the WWE event, Clash at the Castle, was going to be taking place on September 3rd, I knew that she was probably going to die in September. It wasn't even that hard. And I even mentioned it in one of my videos. Now, did I get the day right? No, but she died 5 days after that event. All right. And so it's clear. This is why I use WWE, guys, because it was a clear signal. She died 5 days after WWE Clash at the Castle. That right there alone should just show you how WWE is important. And I'm going to have another WWE connection here in this video. But I just want to show you how sports, WWE, all these things are predicting the next 9/11, the next big event. And I was talking a lot about that earlier this year too, the power outages. I was talking about cyber attacks. But the way I see it, guys, is they have a couple of different ways they could go about this huge fake out they're going to do on humanity. There's going to be a power outage somehow. Is it going to be from the sun, from a solar flare? Is that what they're going to blame it on? Is it going to be from a cyber attack that takes down the power grid? Or is it going to be from an EMP attack? My guess is I think they've chosen possibly the narrative they're going to go with. And I'm going to show you how this football game kind of shows us how they've chosen probably to carry out some sort of EMP attack. So let's get into this video. So the first thing I want you guys to notice here is that this is the Colts versus the Denver Broncos, Indianapolis versus Denver. Remember, guys, Indianapolis is the only city in the United States that equals 201, like the Jesuit order, the big number, 201. Just like on 9/11, two towers became zero, became one, 201. Matt Ryan is a Jesuit, the quarterback here, number 2. Okay? And he's going to be throwing to Nyheim Hines down here at the bottom. I'll try to put my arrow on him. His number is 21. So you've got 2 throwing to 21, right? And that's the number 212. All right, and that is the number of Seattle, Washington. And remember, Garo from the other channel that I've was talking about Seattle, Washington 611. I think this is also some sort of programming for that. But I think another event is coming before next June. I think there's going to be kind of a couple of events, guys. I don't know exactly how they're going to play out. But anyways, let's move on to this. So what I want to really point out here, first of all, I want you guys to watch the play, and then I'm going to comment on it. Here we go. So watch Matt Ryan throw the ball to Nyheim Hines, and watch number 42. Now in the video, you can't quite see his number, but number 42 comes in and hits Nyheim Hines to the ground, and it causes a concussion. I'm going to show you how concussion is connected to electricity and the power grid and all that. So here we go.
Ryan hangs in the pocket, throws, and has to move up toward the line of scrimmage. The catch is made, but they don't get a first down. Hines about a yard and a half short, and once again, Indianapolis cannot score off its first drive. They haven't scored a single point over first drive this season. And of all things, well, we've seen stumbling, and you know what I'm talking.
All right, so that's pretty simple, guys. To me, it didn't even look like he hit his head that hard, but you can see he's kind of stumbling at the end. and he was ruled with a concussion. All right. And concussions have been very prominent in the football world the last couple of weeks. On last Thursday night's game, there was also a concussion of Tua Tagovailoa, who I also made a community post on YouTube about this and how it's tied to Obama. I'm going to tie all this to Obama as well because this all does tie to Obama and his Antichrist symbolism. So at the same time, we got to understand the Jupiter connection. If you guys haven't been following my work on the number 57, the number 36, all my other, go into my community section and read through my community posts so you have an overview of all of these things that lead up to this. Because I don't want to explain all this stuff in detail in every video. I just can't do that. So anyways, you got Nyheim Hines getting hurt, okay, with a concussion on Thursday night. So again, Thursday night's the night of Jupiter. Jupiter, remember, guys, the Queen died on the 36th Thursday of the year, and Jupiter equals 36. So again, I'm gonna show you more here in a minute, but I don't want to get on all that 36 stuff. I just want to kind of have you guys go back and watch it. So here's the Nyheim Hines. I'm gonna close that out because that's all I wanted you to see. Okay, this was on October 6th. All right. So the first thing you want to understand of why I caught on to this, this game being connected to a event with an EMP. Well, here's Nick Bonito. This is the guy that hit Nyheim Hines. He wears the number 42. That's going to come into play in a minute. But I'm going to leave him for a minute. I'm going to go and I'm going to show you guys what the name of the Denver stadium where this took place is. And I'm going to show you guys why this is a clear ritual for a possible future EMP attack. So, first of all, guys, it's Denver, and they're located at high altitude, right? So they call it Empower Field at Mile High. All right. So the very first letters of this name of this field have EMP in it. EMP. And of course, EMPs are all about knocking out power. So it's Empower Field at high altitude or mile high. All right. So I don't even need gematria. I don't even need gematria to explain to you how this stadium is named specifically as predictive programming for an EMP. Is it going to be in Denver? I mean, is that where it's going to happen? Or is it going to be in Seattle? And I'm going to show you. Well, first of all, guys, the Seattle and Denver connection is very important because the quarterback for the Broncos right now is Russell Wilson. I'm going to get to him in a minute. But he was traded this year on 3/8 from Seattle to Denver. And in return, Seattle got Noah Fant. And I already had a video in the past talking about how Noah Fant, I believed, was predictive programming for a flood in Seattle, right? Noah, like the flood. And now you have an EMP attack. It's almost like they switched players, and now you have this flood in Seattle and this electrical EMP in Denver, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out and exactly how it's going to happen. But anyways, guys, I don't need gematria for you guys to see that this is clearly predictive programming for EMP. And I'm also going to show you why. So now I just told you that this is EMP at mile high. So EMP at high altitude. Now, just look at this article. And there's actually been an article I posted in my community section about Russia already trying to possibly come up with the idea of attacking the United States with a high altitude EMP. So again, the thing is high altitude electromagnetic pulse, or also known as hemp. Funny how it's hemp, right? Like hemp. But anyways, guys, do you see the connection here? High altitude, like Denver is at high altitude, and electromagnetic pulse, like the beginning of the stadium, is EMP. So how much more clear can we get here? I mean, how much more? I mean, it's so easy to see. And so anyways, that's the first thing you guys need to know is the connection between the stadium that this happened in, the EMP stadium, and the high altitude Denver the high altitude electromagnetic pulse, also known as HEMP. Okay, so let me close these out. I'm done with those. Um, Now, I want to bring in this before I bring the gematria in. I want to talk about another thing that happened this year that has to do with electricity or lightning. Because on Obama's birthday, we had a lightning strike at the White House. And the only survivor of this strike was Amber Escudero Canto Statvis. Notice that her name is Canto Statvis. It's a weird name, but I think it's Greek. But anyways, you can see that her name is here. She was struck by lightning on Obama's birthday and on her birthday at 28 years old. So I want you guys to remember this as I go into the gematria. I want you guys to remember her name and how she's tied to this. Because again, this is all about electricity. So I went back in the year and I was like, okay, what's all the events? What's all these things that has to do with electricity, right? And so this was one of the main ones because also it ties to Obama, and I'm going to show you how, in Denver. So anyways, she gets struck on her birthday, on Obama's birthday, as she turns 28 years old. So remember why I'm going to use the number 28 also. Why did they choose her to be 28 years old when this happened? And another thing I want you guys to notice, another detail I wanted to bring up here, I'm not going to pull it up, but her last name, Contostathis, if you do a search on what that name means, the first article that comes up on Google says that that name means humanitarian. And guess what this woman does? She works in D.C. as a humanitarian. So her name, her last name, Contostathis, means humanitarian, according to the first article on Google. And then this woman that gets struck by lightning on her birthday and lives happens to be a humanitarian. Okay, so just remember that going forward too as another connection and just how rigged it all is. So let's jump into gematria, guys. I don't want to make this video too long. So also I want to give a big shout out to Derek and his new Gematrinator calculator that has made this very easy for me to go and show you guys these connections. I'm able to, organize my gematria much easier. So anyways, let's jump into this. The first thing I wanted to bring up here, guys, at the very bottom of the screen here, is in power field at mile high. You can see right here. And it equals 223, just like electromagnetic pulse equals 223. It also equals 110, okay, just like electromagnetic pulse. So the name of the stadium has two matches. And also in the third cipher, it has a 317 for electromagnetic pulse and a 371 for in power field at mile high. Now I want to show you guys up here, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks is Russell Carrington Wilson. And his name equals 317 and 110, just like an electromagnetic pulse. So not only does the stadium have EMP in it, and it matches electromagnetic pulse in almost three ciphers, the quarterback for this team also matches electromagnetic pulse in two ciphers. And if you guys haven't been watching my video, I'm going to show you how the 57s are involved in this. But anyways, what was the final score of this game, guys? Let me just go bring this up so you guys can see how I also got connected to this game with electricity. So notice that the final score of this Colts-Broncos game was 12-9. And so I just showed you all the connections with the EMP in the stadium, but now let's talk about what EMP is actually doing, and it's knocking out electricity. So the game final score ended with a final score of 12-9. And what does electricity equal in gematria? Right here, guys. It equals 129, just like the final score of the game. Okay, and what was the big story in the game with Nyheim Hines? I already showed you the video. He got a concussion, right? Up here, concussion equals 57. Electricity equals 57. And what is a concussion, guys? You get your lights knocked out, essentially. So you have electricity. The final score of the game is 129. 129 is electricity, and electricity equals 57, just like concussion. And the big story of the game was the Nyheim Hines concussion, which also equals 57. Now, the guy that hit him, which I showed you before, that hit Nyheim Hines equals 129, Nick Bonito. Okay, 129, just like electricity. Nyheim Hines, the guy that gets hit, equals 129, okay, just like electricity and Nick Bonito. So the guy that hits him equals 129, the guy that gets hit equals 129, and electricity equals 129. So get it, knocking out the electricity. And remember, guys, I told you that Nick Bonito's number is number 42. He gets hit, concussion equals 42. So number 42 hits number 21 and gives him a concussion. Concussion equals 57, like electricity. All right. And also notice that Nyheim Hines, the guy who got concussion, equals 129 and 168, just like electricity equals 129 and 168. Remember, guys, Queen Elizabeth II equals 168 as well. And she's tied with this also. And go back and watch my prior video if you want to understand the 57 in Queen Elizabeth. So again, guys, you have a score of 129, just like electricity. The stadium is a completely symbolic representation of EMP power outage. I already showed you how the quarterback for the Broncos is tied to EMP. And now you have, in this game, you have all these guys with the 129s knocking out the power, essentially. So this concussion, this hit, was symbolic for a future power outage. Now, I want to talk again about Russell Carrington Wilson, okay? Because you guys, if you guys are unfamiliar, another big history event with a power outage was the Carrington event. All right, and this Carrington event happened in 1859 on September 1st and 2nd. But that's not important at this point. What I want you guys to know is that it happened in 1859 and it was caused by a solar flare. Okay? Which is why I think they could also blame power outages on solar flares, and we have been having a lot of solar activity. But I think that the most divisive thing that they could make this narrative be is an EMP attack, right? So then it would cause a war. And again, guys, the number 42 is associated with war. I told you that Nick Bonito hits Nyheim Hines. He wears 42. And if Russia or somebody were to have hit an EMP attack on the United States, it would certainly cause World War III, right? It would really escalate that. So, again, I just want to talk about this Carrington because I wanted to bring up Russell Wilson again. His middle name is Carrington. What's the chances that his name matches electromagnetic pulse, and he also has the Carrington as a middle name, which is also involved in history with a power outage? I've never seen the middle name Carrington in my life. So his middle name is Carrington, and if you type in Carrington event, okay, you're going to get 220 and 85. And the full name of the guy who knocks out the player is also, if we take out these numbers, guys, we're going to get 202 and 85. So look, Carrington event and Nicholas Bonito, 202, 85. And obviously these aren't the same numbers, but really close to the same. Just the zero is in a different place. And they both equal 85. So I hope I'm piling on all the evidence here. And another thing I need to bring up right now is that if there is a nuclear explosion at high altitude that knocks out the power, it's going to be all because of plutonium. And if you guys haven't followed my work since the beginning, I spent a lot of weeks earlier in the year talking about plutonium. Another thing I want to mention before I go to the plutonium, guys, is that Nicholas Bonito equals 202, and Hemp Attack, you know how I told you that the name of a high-altitude EMP attack is hemp? So if you type in Hemp Attack, it equals 202, just like Nicholas Bonito equals 202. And that's if you add the capitals. Because remember, guys, they capitalize the word hemp with all capitals. And this cipher is the capital cipher where you add a value with the capital letters taken into consideration. So again, the 202 with the Hemp Attack and Nicholas Bonito equaling 202 is very telling. So anyways, back to the plutonium thing. So plutonium is all about a nuclear explosion, which is what they would do in the event of a high altitude nuclear blast. And notice that plutonium equals 42. Again, just like concussion, just like Nicholas Bonito wears the number 42. Now, plutonium also equals 141, like Nick Bonito equals 141. Okay? And again, he wears number 42 and plutonium equals 42. And notice that the name of the lady that got struck by lightning on Obama's birthday equals 102 and plutonium equals 102. All right? Also notice the 48 in plutonium and Nick Bonito equals 48. So the 48's, again, coming into play. Basically, Nick Bonito has 2 cipher matched to plutonium. And again, concussion involved in this as well. Now, let me go show you why Denver is involved in this. Because last month, Denver was handing out bug out bags. And this was a big story with the conspiracy community. Denver Ready gives free bug out bags away. And this was on September 10th to September 15th. So just a month ago. All right. And what is a bug out bag? Well, it's just a bag that contains supplies in case of a preparation. And remember, guys, there was a Simpsons episode released on September 24th, 2013 about an EMP attack. And in that episode, they talk about bug out bags. So again, The Simpsons is involved in this, and I'm not going to bring all that up, but I'm just telling you guys that The Simpsons had an episode in September 2013 about an EMP and bug out bags. So you have Denver a month ago handing out bug out bags, okay? And obviously this game took place in Denver, right? So it just keeps piling on. It keeps piling on. I don't know how anyone could not see the spectacular, how they plan these things out, and sometimes I don't think it's even possible for people to plan it out so amazingly without some sort of magic. But anyways, guys, from that point, I want to just make that bug out bags equals 115 like Power Grid right here. So you have a bug out bags and Power Grid matching, and it's all about an EMP taking out the Power Grid. So now to talk about this lady that got struck by lightning on Obama's birthday, how is she tied to this other than what I already showed you? I told you that she has a match. Well, I didn't show you this yet, guys. Notice that her name, if you drop her last name, which is probably not her given name, it's probably her married name, but her birth name is probably Amber Escudero. And if you notice that the name Amber Escudero down here, guys, equals 129 like electricity. And remember, she got struck by lightning. And not only that, guys, but she matches the name of Nyheim Hines, Nick Bonito, electricity. She also has the 57, just like electricity, and she has the 222, which is a huge number because we're in the year 2022. All right? And I already told you her full name matches plutonium, which is the element used to make nuclear bombs, with the 102. That's her full name. And I showed her her birth name, Amber Escudero, matches electricity and all these guys in the football game. So, and remember, guys, the 181 over here, which all these guys have, Nyheim Hines, Nick Bonito, and Amber Escudero all have the 181 if you take in capital letters into consideration. And again, that's the 42nd prime, going back to the plutonium. And remember, guys, Barack Hussein Obama, the second, equals 181. So again, this happened on Obama's birthday. She got struck. And again, this goes back to Seattle too, guys. You got to give big credit to Jurassic Liars, a channel I've shouted out in the past. I think he's dead on about a strike in Seattle, but I think also something might happen in Denver. So how is Obama tied to this? Well, notice that the word Obama, if we get rid of the ones here that aren't relevant, notice that Denver, where this game took place, matches Barack Obama, 68 and 32. Okay? And also notice if you take capital letters in consideration, you got the 68 over here and the 94, and Denver has the 94. So just look at Barack Obama and Denver. They're almost direct matches. Okay? So, again, the lightning strike on Obama's birthday, and you have Denver where this game took place. You have these matches. And now I'm going to show you the EMP scene from the show Jericho in 2006. Notice that this video was released on September 25th, which is the same day that the album What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down was released by Public Enemy. Of course, it wasn't the same year, but it was the same day, September 25th. Another thing I wanted to point out, guys, is that Nick Bonito, the player who knocked out Nyheim Hines, his birthday was on Rosh Hashanah this year, and his birthday was on September 26th. Rosh Hashanah this year started on September 25th to September 27th. I've already talked about that in prior videos. I'm not going to show you this whole video. Actually, I don't think I'm even going to show you the video at all, but if you guys want to watch it, it's the Jericho Emp Attack. Well, guess where this show takes place, guys? This show is about a nuclear bomb that goes off in the very first episode, and it goes off over Denver. I think the actual town is in Kansas, Jericho, Kansas, but the bomb goes off in Denver. So the story starts in Denver with a nuclear bomb going off, and there's literally an episode about an EMP, and this is a scene from that episode. And again, so how does Jericho involve with this? Well, if we go back over and we go back to what I was just showing you, Jericho equals 68 like Denver and Barack Obama. So you have all these events, guys. I'm pulling all these events together and I'm showing you how clearly these symbolisms are going, right? Now, before I get into more, I want to show you how Denver's next game is against an electricity team. So Denver, they just played the Colts, and I just showed you how there was a ritual in that game about an EMP. Well, of course, guys, the next game they're going to play is against the Chargers. Of course, guys, right? A lightning bolt. And that's happening on Monday, October 17th. And the next day is October 18th, which is like Luke 10:18, which states in the Bible, I saw Satan fall like lightning. So you have the Broncos, who are tied to EMP attacks and electricity, facing the Chargers one day before Monday, October 18th, which is involved in the biblical verse, Luke 10:18. If you guys don't know that, I also talked about that in my 74 video a few videos ago. Luke 10:18 is about lightning bolt and Satan. Again, Barack Obama. Remember, guys, a few years ago, we had the event 201 on 10:18. So, again, there's so much here, guys, to say, but it's so hard for me to gather all these things together because it's clear that they're talking about these things. And notice that the Broncos won the Super Bowl in 2016, and that was the year that Trump was elected, but Obama was still president. And remember, guys, Obama was born on the 216th day of the year, and the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl in 2016. All right. So again, let's decode this Broncos-Chargers game, which is the next game. So notice this, guys. Remember, I talked to you guys earlier about the Carrington event that happened in 1859, power going out. Well, notice that the Carrington event is almost a direct match to Denver versus Los Angeles. And that's the two teams that will be playing on the 17th of October. Denver versus Los Angeles equals 218, 268, and 97, just like the Carrington event. So all these things are just so well coming together. All right. And I know this video is getting long, guys, and I'm trying to really, hit all the points clearly. Hopefully I'm making sense with all these different events and how I'm bringing them together. So now I want to talk about Judgment Day, because the word Judgment Day, remember I showed you guys that the word electricity, Nick Bonito, Nyheim Hines, and the name of the lady that got struck all equal 129. So the 129 and the 57 are huge, guys, and I'm going to show you exactly why this ties in to the biblical judgment day. And trust me, guys, if the electricity goes out, especially in a big portion, and all electrical appliances go down, it's going to be a type of judgment day. It's going to be a type of purgatory. Now, what's interesting about the word purgatory is it equals 141 like plutonium, and 102 and 48. Notice the word purgatory up here, guys, and the word plutonium. Remember, the nuclear explosion that causes an EMP is made with plutonium, the element. All right. Also, guys, plutonium is a huge part of this. If you haven't gone back and watched my really older videos, I talked a lot about plutonium. So this is the all I have for this part of the decode. But what I want to move to next is the Judgment Day. And WWE has a promotion running right now. And there's a faction in the WWE. I told you guys I was going to bring a WWE connection into this. It's called the Judgment Day. Okay. And I'm going to show you how these people are tied to this event also. And this Judgment Day faction was created earlier this year, but I want to talk about the two guys that are in this faction. One of them is Finn Balor, and his real name is Fergal Devitt. Okay, so remember that. His stage name is Finn Balor, but his real name is Fergal Devitt. Okay, and he's Irish. The other guy that's in this, his name is Luis Martinez, but his stage name is Damian Priest. Okay, so remember Fergal Devitt and Damian Priest, and remember the phrase Judgment Day. I'm going to show you how all this is tied together. All right. So what I want to bring up here more than anything is that New York City has a really strong tie to the word electricity. Okay. And sorry about that, guys. I brought up the other table. So I'm going to clear out some of these ciphers that don't really correlate here. Hold on a second. So the Judgment Day equals 129 like electricity. All right. Remember, guys, electricity equals 129. The two guys that I just told you were in this group, Damian Priest equals 129 and 57. Look at their names, guys. Almost direct matches. 129, 57, 195, and 181. Okay. New York City equals 129 and 57. Okay. Remember, guys, Rosh Hashanah this year was on 269, which is the 57th prime, and Rosh Hashanah equals 57. Rosh Hashanah happens to match Satanism in two ciphers. And I made a video earlier in the year about this Damian Priest guy being tied to Satanism. You can go back and watch it. You know, the ritual that happened in New York City this year, the shooting, the subway shooting. Remember, he's from New York City. His name matches New York City with the 12957. Okay. And just look when this guy was born. He was born on Rosh Hashanah this year. His birthday this year was September 26th, and that was Rosh Hashanah. So again, guys, Rosh Hashanah equals 57, just like his name, Damian Priest, equals 57, and the city that he's from equals 57. And Satanism, which is what this guy represents, equals 57. I also want you to remember, guys, the name of the group he's in, the Judgment Day, equals 129 and 95, just like his name equals 129 and 195. Okay? I mean, just look at the connections, guys, between these events. So is this event going to happen in New York City? Because look at the word New York City, guys. New York City equals 168, 129, and 57. So if we go back over to this one, what other things equaled 168, 129? Well, look, Nyheim Hines, the guy that got knocked out of the game, the Denver game, with a concussion, equals 129 and 68, just like New York City equals 129 and 68. Okay? So I think I've covered all my points here. I hope that the symbolism is clear. I wanted to mention the date November 2nd because it's All Souls Day, which is basically Purgatory Day. It's the day you pray for those who have gone, but especially those that are in purgatory. So in the time of judgment, essentially. So again, I just showed you the Judgment Day thing. And Naheem Hines' birthday, guys, the guy that got knocked out of the game, is November 2nd. Okay, November 2nd. I've already talked about the date November 4th. But the main thing, guys, is that I think that anytime something could happen. I'm not going to try to give a specific date. I may release another video later about the dates, but the reality is that from here until the end of November could get very interesting. And November is going to be a really crazy month, I think, guys. Obviously, it's the 11th month, the master number. 11-1, like November 1st is 111. You have 11-11, okay? And I did want to mention that another event that I always like to talk about is the Extinction Level event by Busta Rhymes, the album that he released 2 years ago. Guess when he released it, guys? On November 2nd. So the same day as Naheem Hines' birthday. And remember, guys, this is All Souls Day, the day where you pray for judgment for those who have passed that are in purgatory, right? So it's fitting that he released this. And look at this, guys, The Purge. I've already talked about this movie, but he has a song on this album called The Purge, and it's 110 long. And remember, electromagnetic pulse equals 110. Okay? So there's so much more to say, guys. There's so much to bring together, but it doesn't need to get so much more complicated than this. So anyway, Busta Rhymes, he released it 2 years ago on November 2nd, and now we're coming up on November 2nd this year, which is Naeem Hines' birthday. So the symbolism seems to be there. Another thing I want to talk about with this date is if you go from the date of this album release to the date of 11/11, which is a huge day in November this year because you're going to have all master numbers. It's going to be 11/11/22. Okay? And notice that from that day, from the release of the Extinction Level event album to 11/11/2022 is 739 days, and that's the 133rd prime number. So that's interesting. But I also wanted to point out that there was another song to talk about, which was released in 2020, which was called What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down. And that was by Public Enemy. And just look at this, guys. It's 777 days from that album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, to 11/11. 777 days, which is 111 weeks. And the date is 11/11. So just look at how that's lining up, guys. That album was released exactly 777 days before 11/11. And it's 111 weeks. So I don't think you can get... And I just showed you that the connection between the other album, Extinction Level Event. So you have those two albums, Extinction Level Event by Busta Rhymes and What You're Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down by Public Enemy. And another thing about Russell Wilson, guys, I just want to bring this up. Let me close this out. So Zach Hubbard mentioned back in... he mentioned on his site, basically, that in 2013, when the Homeland Security Director, Janet Napolitano, okay, remember, the cover of the album for What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down was of Arizona or New Mexico area. And this woman happens to be from Arizona, okay? And she was also the director of Homeland Security under Barack Obama. Remember, and she's from New York. So again, guys, I'm bringing all this together. And look what she's born, guys. She's born in 1957. Okay, and she was born on 11/29. Like electricity equals 129 and 57. She was born in 57 on 11/29. So, and guess whose birthday this is, guys? This is Russell Wilson's birthday. And guess what day of the year it is? It's the 333rd day of the year. So if nothing happens in early November, look out for this day. Because last year, Cyber Monday, the day after Thanksgiving, was on this date. Okay? This could be the day. this day is really interesting to me. Not only is it Russell Wilson's birthday, it's Janet Napolitano's birthday, and she had a speech about the power grid in 2013. I'm not going to go back and go into all this detail, but you guys can go back and watch my prior videos and go to Gematria Effect News to see where Zach mentions where this woman, Janet Napolitano, talks about the power grid being attacked. Okay. And again, she has the same birthday as Russell Wilson, who I just talked about in this video. And now I don't know what she is now, actually. I don't know if it says Janet Napolitano, American politician, lawyer, who served as. I don't know what her actual job title is now. So, member of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board. So, guys, she goes from being the director of Homeland the Security. Okay, she was the 20th president of the University of California. Look at this woman's reputation. Gosh, this is why this woman is important, man. I mean, look at all of her credentials. She was under Bill Clinton as the attorney for the District of Arizona. Remember, Public Enemy's album has the picture of Arizona. Okay. And then she was the 23rd Attorney General of Arizona. And then she was the governor of Arizona. And then she was the Homeland Security, okay, under Obama. Okay. And then she was the 20th president of University of California, which is a huge university. And now she is the member of the Intelligence Advisory Board. So, come on. This is huge, guys. This is absolutely huge. And the fact that her birthday is 11/29 and electricity equals 129. Remember, guys, the 129, 11/29 is kind of like a 129. And remember, Janet Napolitano born in 57, just like electricity. So all this stuff comes together so perfectly. Her birthday is really important. I just wanted to throw all that stuff. I hope I got everything out. I know it was long. I hope you guys wanted to actually stay and listen to this. I will put out more videos on this as I find more information, but I really think we're getting close, guys. If it doesn't happen this year, it's definitely going to happen in the next year. I think it really will. So who knows? But just be prepared. I hope you guys are having a great one. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.